StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you need air conditioning service and are looking for a local dealer you can trust, like Marshall Mechanical in Franklin? Find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're glad to have you with us. It's nice to be back in the studio with producer Carl. We broadcast, as you know, if you were listening last weekend, from remote location out at Premier Arms in Brownsburg. And I got to tell you, Bryce, the owner out there, is a great host. It's the second time we've done it. Tony Katz and I both broadcast out there. Tony did the second hour of Eat, Drink, Smoke that, as you know, immediately precedes the Gun Guy Show from Premier Arms, live with a live crowd. It was great. People came out and tailgated, which is awesome. And then I did my whole show, all 2 hours of it, there at Premier Arms. So I'll tell you what, it's a great organization. We were there raising money for Brownsburg Blessing Boxes, essentially a food drive. And it was to raise money for people who need it, for people who need to be fed. And I was proud to participate, and I was glad that Tony asked me to do it again. Tony was really the driving force behind it, along with the ownership there at Premier Arms. So I was happy to be there, and thanks to everybody who came out. It was a lot of fun. Al Unser Jr. came out of Indy 500 fame with his beautiful wife, Norma, who I've actually known for a long time. Get this, Al Unser Jr., married to the former Norma Lawrence, a good friend of mine. I got to know Norma really well when she worked for the NRA, and she's been very much proponent for Second Amendment rights here, and it was neat that she and Al Jr. got married. They came out, made a guest appearance, came on the air. That was fun. My friend and client, Eli Dicken, the hero of the Greenwood Park Mall shooting, who ended that mass shooting in a mere 15 seconds, I will have you know. From the time it started, people say, where's that 15 seconds come from? Is that from the time Eli started shooting until it was over? What does the 15 seconds really relate to? And it's worth discussing. When you watch the security tape, and it's not been released to the public, but as his attorney, I was able to see it and reviewed it with the Greenwood Police Department. And what it is from the time the bad guy, and I don't mention mass shooters' names ever, but from the time the bad guy came out of the bathroom where he'd been for a full hour, and there are no cameras in the bathroom, and so we don't know what the hell he was doing in there for a full hour, but from the time the bad guy emerged from the bathroom and started shooting until the time that Eli ended the threat by getting his first hits on the bad guy, that entire duration where the bad guy's still shooting and killing innocent people. And again, 3 innocent people died. And I always want to mention that right up front. A lot of people look at the Greenwood Park Mall shooting as something to celebrate for Second Amendment rights. And look, it certainly demonstrates, it proves conclusively the value of an armed private citizen who's able to carry legally and is willing, has the courage to step in and protect innocent lives. It clearly establishes that is not a myth, as we keep hearing it is from gun control proponents, that it is real, that a good guy with a gun, yes, can and that they do save lives. So from that perspective, yes, it's a positive. I think it's a positive for gun rights in America. However, what we never want to lose sight of is that 3 innocent people died. And whenever we talk about that shooting, that's the first thing we ought to think about, is we ought to grieve for and mourn those innocent people who died. However, if 3 people died in 15 seconds in a busy mall on a Sunday at closing time, if they died in 15 seconds, how many more would have died where you have a shooter with over 100 rounds in magazines on his person? He was wearing a chest rig with 3 loaded magazines of 30 rounds each and came out of the bathroom with a loaded 30-round mag, started shooting. Eli ended that mass shooting in 15 seconds. The entire duration of the shooting was 15 seconds, which is just astonishing to me. Interesting, I was talking to the Greenwood Police Department and the assistant chief and the detective down there who really spearheaded the investigation, and they actually, when they first reviewed the tape, didn't believe that Eli's just a normal guy off the street with a normal job who has little to no training. I mean, his grandfather taught him how to shoot when he was just a young boy, and that's really it. No formal training whatsoever. Greenwood PD, upon seeing the security video, didn't believe it. Well, that can't be right. You watch what Eli did and how quickly he did it, and his marksmanship, starting from 43 yards away. Eli made a total of 8 out of 10 hits, didn't hit any innocent people, and ended that mass shooting in 15 total seconds. And the contrast, and about any commentary you see on the Greenwood Park Mall shooting, people compare what happened in Greenwood to what happened in Uvalde, where you had armed, trained, professional law enforcement personnel who stood around in a hallway for over an hour while innocent people continued to get shot. Compare the death toll. Compare the casualties in Uvalde to Greenwood. And that shows you the value, again, of a private citizen who's willing to step into the breach, willing to step up and take on a threat, willing to put himself in harm's way, to take on someone, yes, with a rifle, with with so-called high-capacity magazine, to step up with a pistol, a Glock 19 in this case, not even a full-size pistol, it's compact, and engage that threat, and ended the threat. Eli, really, and he did this as a favor to me because he came up and was trying to be as anonymous as possible, but wanted to visit the NRA annual meeting and exhibits. Came up with his girlfriend, Shay. And they were, as they always have been, and you haven't seen Eli make a single public appearance, a public comment, and you probably won't. He's a private, humble guy. And I've done my best to shield him from the media and anybody who wants to really invade his privacy. He has no interest in that. You know, you see some of these folks like Kyle Rittenhouse. You know, I don't think he's ever passed up an opportunity to get in front of a camera. And that's not Eli. He's exactly the opposite. But I told him I was going to be broadcasting live there from Brownsburg at Premier Arms. And I invited him out. I said, man, come on out. I'd love to just say hi. I'd love to see you. And he did. And really did it, I think, as a favor to me. That's how gracious a guy he is. I almost said kid. He's 22. He's had a birthday since then. So he is no kid. He's a man. But when you're as old as I am, you tend to look at anybody anywhere close to his age and want to call him a kid. But he came out, and he did about the briefest radio interview you're ever going to hear. He had no real interest in going into any details or discussing the event or anything else. I just asked him how he's doing. He said fine. And I just said thank you. You know, thank you for being that guy that had the courage, the commitment, the willingness to step in and save innocent lives. And he said thanks. And that was pretty much the whole interview. But I was thrilled that he was willing to just come out and say hi, and it was great to see him. You can go back and catch that on the podcast. You can always catch our podcast here. Producer Carl gets those up within a couple of hours, usually after the show ends at 7 o'clock. You can go to WIBC.com, click on shows, come down and click on Gun Guy Show, and they got podcasts on there going back several months, if not years, that you can scroll through. You can catch them on iTunes or otherwise. By the way, and we've mentioned this before, you can also watch the broadcasts on YouTube, and then they post them as videos on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search for WIBC, and you'll see a whole list of Gun Guy shows on there. Or you can watch it live. It's broadcasting live right now. You can check that out as well. But anyway, that's what we did last weekend. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed doing it, and we raised a whole bunch of money for Brownsburg Blessing Boxes. And we're going to feed a whole bunch of innocent, I should say. We're going to feed a whole bunch of hungry people there from that area. That's a big deal. And for those of you who came out, it was great to meet you. I posed for a lot of pictures. Some people wanted to buy my book. I had some of my books out there. It was all just a lot of fun. But we're going to shift gears. I do want to review a little bit. We talked about it just briefly. Tony and I did last weekend. But I do want to talk a little bit about the NRA annual meeting. I really want to hear from callers, listeners to the show, about the NRA annual meeting. Did you come down? Did you go? And how are you feeling about NRA right about now? You know, among gun owners. And obviously we know how the anti-gun people feel. I mean, you go to Shannon Watts, the founder of Moms Demand Action, go to her Twitter feed, and you'll see a whole bunch of commentary on how she feels about NRA. It's interesting that they feel so compelled to demonize NRA. But even among gun owners, if I'm on a gun-related page on Facebook or one of the forums out there, the discussion forums, if I mention NRA, I'll get several negative comments from gun owners. And that varies. There are a lot of different reasons for that. But I want to talk a little bit about the NRA annual meetings. Did you come down? Did you see it? Did you go? Did you have a good time? What did you think of downtown, the atmosphere downtown? What do you think of the meetings? And how are we feeling about NRA these days? I'm really interested to hear from gun owners right here in Indiana on that issue. And then we'll get into a whole lot of other issues. Stand your ground laws. And we have a stand your ground law here in Indiana. There's a lot of confusion about what those really mean. But they're getting blamed right now for really a series of shootings that just happened here recently, including a young kid, 16 years old, Ralph Yarl, just pulled into the wrong driveway, rang the wrong doorbell, and got shot. And there are several other examples. There were a group of cheerleaders who got shot when one of them accidentally entered the wrong car. We had an incident just like this at Castleton Square Mall here recently. But a cheerleader got into the wrong car and got shot. And there are more examples of this. And the result of this are not to just criticize the individuals who did the shooting in these instances, but also to say, aha, this is all the fault of so-called stand your ground laws, and we need to repeal those laws because they vindicate and legalize this kind of horrible loss of life. We'll talk about each of those cases, and there are a couple of more, but we'll also talk about whether it's fair, accurate, or even sensible to blame a law like a self-defense law, including a stand your ground provision, for these kinds of shootings that are heartbreaking for everyone who reads about them, and certainly for anyone involved. We'll get into all those issues and take your calls. Give us a call, 317-239-9393, especially if you were down at NRA, want to talk about that, how you're feeling about NRA as an organization these days. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. We're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The pothole. Formed in colder months, tiny fissures are born, and in no time at all, they grow into big, gigantic tire killers. That's why you need Matt Baird Traffic.
Watch out on Keystone Avenue.
He'll guide you around these hidden monsters.
Yeah, might as well call it a basement.
And on to safer ground.
You don't want to be in the far left lane.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Premier Arms, located in Brownsburg. Premier Arms has the largest and most diverse selection of new and used firearms in central Indiana, with over 1,500 firearms in stock, from pre-Civil War firearms all the way through modern Class 3 firearms as well. They have the best prices on new and used firearms with a knowledgeable, professional, and courteous sales staff. They're also Indiana's largest Benchmade knife stocking dealer, and I'm a big fan of Benchmade knives. Stop by and see them at 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg. Give them a call at 317-858-3030, or you can always check them out online at premierarms.com. That's my friends at Premier Arms, located in Brownsburg.
Planning for retirement all comes down to what matters most for you. Is it a vacation home? Is it traveling the globe? You could call the team at Howard Bailey Financial to help you plan for your retirement and to help you have a successful and fulfilling retirement. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people, and I'm excited to share that Singer Financial is now Howard Bailey Financial, an Indiana-based retirement planning firm.
The Howard Bailey team possesses credibility at both an ethical and professional standpoint. They will deliver you a customized framework that allows you to create the meaning of retirement. Whatever you visualize retirement to be, let the Howard Bailey team customize a plan specifically for you. If you're ready for your best retirement, come forward and see the Howard Bailey difference.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities, LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TIRE for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TIRE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TIRE.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg, your premier gun store. Over 1,200 firearms in stock and the largest selection of used firearms in the area. Premier Arms is home of the Buy Room. This exclusive, private, and secure room is where Premier Arms will buy your estate or special collection of firearms and jewelry. Premier Arms and PA Jewelers, their one-of-a-kind jewelry store located in the same building, are the largest buyers of firearms, firearm collections, and estate jewelry in the Midwest. Talk to Premier Arms today, 3754 South Green Street, online at premierarms.com.
Where are your life's most important memories stored? In your basement, right? Cracks in your foundation and high humidity could mean water is coming in your basement, eventually causing flooding, and you'll lose all your precious photos and memories. Crossroads Foundation Repair travels all over the region, repairing foundations with the highest quality service. Call now and get a free sump pump with full basement waterproofing system. Read our 5-star reviews at crossroadsfoundationrepair.com and call 844-975-6735.
I'm attorney Darryl Isaacs, the Hammer. Have you been injured by a dog bite? Let us take on the big insurance companies, and we'll fight to get you the money you deserve. Go to WeWin.com for your free case evaluation. Just click and get help quick. Go to WeWin.com. That's WeWin.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road. Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Talking about the NRA annual meeting being in town last week. And look, this is a big deal for Indianapolis. And estimates were there were 70,000 people here downtown in the 1 mile square who then at some point over the really 3-day event, there were some dinners and some other things going on Thursday night. But essentially, the event was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 70,000 people coming here to Indy. That's good. That's great. That's awesome. It's a big boon to the economy, hotels, restaurants, bars. I'm sure saw a nice boom from that, and I'm all in favor. I'm glad they were here. They were last here in 2019, and we're glad they came back. They really have been rotating among Louisville, Nashville, Atlanta, and Houston, and Indy, and I was thrilled they were here. It was neat to be downtown. I came down Friday for the event to check out all the exhibits. That's what it's officially called, the NRA annual meetings and exhibits. And you had the exhibit hall huge. I think they said 14 acres of guns and gear, and that's exactly what it was. And a lot of neat firearms, a lot of new firearms, a lot of great accessories, suppressors, any number of other things. And it was neat to see all that laid out really in one place. It was just great to see that number of people. And it was busy in the sense that I think it was very well attended, but it wasn't miserable to walk around. In other words, you weren't doing that little shuffle walk that you have to do in a lot of busy venues. You could get around. You could get around and see things fairly quickly. Not in an hour or two because it was just too damn big. But I was there, did some of that, and then went to the leadership conference Friday afternoon, and a whole bunch of speakers. Former President Trump came in, and he was the keynote, but a whole bunch of other people. We had Mike Pence, former Indiana governor and vice president, who spoke. You had Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, and I like her. I'm a big Kristi Noem fan. There's a lot to like about Kristi Noem. Her politics. South Dakota was the only state in the country that didn't have any lockdowns, any shutdowns during COVID. She decided to side on the side of liberty and freedoms and not lock anybody down. And I applaud that. I respect that a lot. She's also incredibly pro-2A. In fact, she signed a bill there from the stage at the leadership conference that we've been trying to get passed here in Indiana for at least 3 sessions now, and we can't get through the Republican Indiana General Assembly. And that's a bill that would prevent financial institutions from discriminating against gun-related businesses. For instance, I've had credit card processors who won't do business with my firearms training business, Tactical Firearms Training LLC. I've had countless people tell me, including good friends of mine, including Tony Gregory, the lead instructor at Indy Arms there, where I also teach a lot of classes. I co-teach with Tony. His bank shut down his accounts and sent him a certified check for the balance in his accounts, just saying, we don't want to do any business with you anymore. And he contacted me. He said, why on earth would you not want to do business with me? And through process of elimination, it became very clear. I believe it was Chase Bank just didn't want to do business with him because he's a firearms instructor. He's a cop. He's a captain on a police department with a spotless record, no criminal history. But because he's a professional firearms instructor, he had a bank simply say, we don't want to do business with you. And the bills we've tried to get through Indiana just simply create some financial disincentives for financial institutions to do that. We can't get it passed here in Indiana. At least we haven't the last 3 years. South Dakota passed it, and Governor Kristi Noem signed it from the stage right there in front of us. I had people from different organizations, whether it was NRA or other pro-gun organizations, saying, hey, man, because I had a real good seat. I was actually in row 1. I was basically right under the podium where President Trump and others spoke. I had people say, hey, man, get a good picture of Kristi Noem signing that bill because we want to distribute it around here in Indiana, and say this is what a pro-2A governor looks like. signing a bill that a pro-2A legislature got through. And we need that in Indiana. And there are ways to balance having a hands-off state government that's not trying to tell businesses what to do at the same time to say, you want to discriminate against these businesses? Well, we will not reward you by giving you contracts with the state of Indiana. I can tell you how to run your business. You want to discriminate away. But there's a downside because the state of Indiana simply won't do business with you. That's a smart bill. It's a good bill. We need to get it done. And look, make no mistake, I'm very pleased with how pro-2A the Indiana legislature is. But there are some things we can't get done. We can't get a self-defense bill that would allow someone to point a gun in the process of defending their business or their other property. Not pull the trigger. Just simply say, for instance, during a riot, you're not going to burn my business down. Because right now, if you do that, if you're not being threatened, someone just wants to destroy your business, your sole means of livelihood. If you point a gun at that person today and say, nope, you're not throwing that Molotov cocktail through my window of my business. Again, I'm not talking about you being threatened. I'm talking about your business, your property being threatened. If you do that today, you go to jail on a felony. Is that ridiculous? That's ridiculous. But we can't get that through the Indiana legislature. We can't get it through the Courts and Criminal Code Committee chaired by Republican Wendy McNamara from Evansville. So we still struggle. It took us 10 years to get constitutional carry done. I'm still celebrating the fact we did, but it can get frustrating. But at the same time, don't discount the fact that we've had some huge successes, whether it's constitutional carry, the self-defense immunity bill, church carry, the preemption, lifetime licenses, free lifetime licenses. There's a whole lot to celebrate in terms of what we've gotten done and what pro-2A legislators have gotten done here in Indiana. So we need to recognize the good when we express our frustration. But it was neat to see Kristi Noem sign that bill for South Dakota anyway, and several others. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And again, I want to take your calls. I'll get into stand your ground law. I see we have a caller calls in, has got a question about stand your ground laws. We'll get into that after we wrap up the discussion on the NRA annual meeting. But if you were there, want to talk about it, how you feeling about NRA these days, give us a call, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
It's best, Mr. President, that you don't know what you're guilty of. It's best that you not know that these documents pertain to conversations regarding Ukraine, where your son was having business dealings and making millions of dollars, and now they, meaning the free and thinking world, can connect your classified document, the classified documents in your possession, to things that may exist on your son's laptop.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Give your small business one tech solution that checks all the boxes. It's all here with the Comcast Business Complete Connectivity Solution. It's cyber threat security for peace of mind. Check. The power of the largest, fastest, reliable network for small business. That's a triple box check right there. And save up to 75% a year on your wireless bill with Comcast Business Mobile. Check and cha-ching. It's everything you need to keep your business connected. From the company powered by the next generation 10G network. The complete connectivity solution. Get started for just $49 a month for 24 months when you add mobile. And ask about an $800 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 5/21/23. Restrictions apply. Requires 2-year agreement, EcoBill, and AutoPay. New 100 megabits per second internet and security edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares weighted average of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data. Savings vary.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Fox News, I'm Laura Cantor. The Supreme Court temporarily allowing access to an abortion drug, rejecting a Texas court ruling.
What this decision does is ensure that the abortion drug mifepristone will remain freely available as lawsuits seeking to restrict it make their way through the lower courts.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Former President Trump running again for the White House, speaking Friday night at the Lincoln Reagan dinner in Fort Myers, Florida.
We have to finish what we started. We were doing things that nobody thought possible. We have to finish what we started. And that means on the world stage also, because the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us like they have never taken advantage before.
The former president topping the Republican field in most polls. President Biden is planning to announce he's running again. America is listening to Fox News.
Chapters of this story take a whole month to tell. This is May. It starts with twists and turns on the IMS road course for the GMR Grand Prix. Then PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying and the Firestone Fast 6 shootout. May continues with Indy's biggest party, Miller Lite Card Day. And all roads lead to the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge. This is where heroes become legends and legends become legendary. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
Hey guys, it's Seb Duell, and I'm running for mayor of Indianapolis. You see, all my adult life, I believed in leaving things better than when I found them. As an attorney, I worked to leave my clients in a better position. As a teacher, I worked to leave my students better educated. And as a political commentator, I worked to leave my audience more informed. Now I'm running for mayor because I want the city to be in better shape. So go to AbdulForIndy.com and read about our plans to take a tough but smart approach to dealing with crime, our creative approach to road funding, and restoring public trust in government. You know, we all deserve a great city to live in, and together we can make that happen. It's not just talk, it's a plan. Paid for by Abdul for Indy.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Divorce forces a father to focus on what's most important, his children. You may no longer be a husband, but you'll always be a dad. In the divorce process, this comes down to three key concerns: physical custody, decision-making, as well as financial support. Each of these is important, and it's important that you choose a lawyer that cares as much about these issues as you do.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Indianapolis area attorneys. 101 West Ohio Street, Suite 1250, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models, not transferable or available on leases. Copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership. The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. We're glad you're with us. Just to wrap up the discussion on the NRA annual meeting, again, big, really politically significant event was the leadership conference where we had a whole bunch of speakers come through. I've only mentioned a few. But Ron DeSantis actually sent a message by video, as did Nikki Haley. I was disappointed in both those that they were only there by video. I really wanted to hear both of them speak live. But a number of others. Mike Braun, our own Indiana senator, spoke, as did Eric Holcomb, our governor. I'll tell you somebody who really impressed me. And this guy is worth keeping an eye on. And I had heard of him, but I had never seen him, never heard him speak. But Vivek Ramaswamy, he's an entrepreneur. He's running for president in 2024. So you got to believe he's a long shot to come anywhere close to a nomination. But he's going to be an up-and-comer. I mean, this guy, I believe, is 37 years old. So he's a young guy. But his speech at the NRA annual meeting was lights out. I mean, it was really good. He had by far the most energy of any of the speakers. I love his message. Obviously very pro-2A, but very conservative, generally speaking, economically. And the ways that matter most, including on 2A. He's a constitutionalist. I really like this guy. He's not going anywhere in 2024, I can't believe. But he's going to have a future, and he's going to make his name, make a name for himself throughout this campaign. But anyway, that was neat. And I was lucky enough to be right up front, so had great seats. Actually live streamed the whole Trump speech. Trump, got an enthusiastic response from the crowd. Mike Pence, our former governor and vice president, that was a little more mixed. Now, where I was sitting was right up front. I was there with kind of right around where a lot of office holders and NRA board of directors and some other people. And where I was, it sounded 90% positive when Mike Pence was introduced. But a lot of people I talked to that were sitting, a little further back said that they heard more boos than cheers. And I'm sure a lot of that comes from the 2020 election when he certified the vote, when a lot of people, including President Trump at the time, were urging him not to. And I'm sure he gets a mixed review for that. But he delivered what I perceived definitely as a campaign speech. Now, he's not announced that he's running for president in 2024, but it sure sounded like a campaign speech to me. But that was interesting. It was fun. I was glad I was there. A lot of speakers went on for about 4 or 5 hours, I think, totally. But it was neat. I was glad to be there. But more than anything, just to wrap up the discussion on NRA annual meeting, more than anything, it was just great to see the sheer numbers of gun owners here in downtown Indy, and they're in the convention center. Yes, you could carry a gun in the convention center during the annual meeting. The only limitation on that, there was a lot of confusion on this. I had people messaging me and I saw posts on social media where they're saying, oh, NRA is a bunch of hypocrites. They say they support our Second Amendment rights, but we can't carry in the annual meeting. And that actually is incorrect. Just as it was in 2019, just as it was, I think, in 2014. Yes, you could carry in the convention center. I saw a whole bunch of people lawfully carrying their handguns. But where you could not carry was actually into Hall A. It was the one big hall, big room where President Trump, Vice President Pence, and several other politicians and presidential candidates all spoke. That was being secured by the Secret Service. And so you had to abide by Secret Service rules, including no weapons. In fact, security that I went through to get into that hall was about as intense a security as I've ever been through. It was much more intense than just, for instance, getting on a plane at the airport and getting through security at an airport. I've never seen anybody in security before take my wallet and actually pull all the cards out of my wallet and look at each one. So that was interesting. And I had a little tiny, actually, toothpick. It's a stainless steel toothpick that I keep on my keychain. And the person said, you can't bring that in here. And it's tiny. It's probably an inch long in terms of the actual toothpick part. And said, nope, you can't bring that in here. So it was very intense. But anyway, it was neat. I'm glad it was here in Indy. I was glad it got the national coverage that it did. A lot of people have asked me about protesters. And apparently there were some. And I don't know where the hell they were. Apparently they were across Pan Am Plaza. And some people posted some pictures of them. But I was downtown for all 3 days, some days longer than others. I parked in the parking garage here at WIBC and then walked. And I didn't see a single protester. And so to me, it was just all a bunch of freedom-loving, Constitution-loving American citizens enjoying their freedoms and checking out some really great gear. And that was neat. I enjoyed it. got a different impression than that, give us a call. We're going to take a break. We come back, going to shift gears completely, talk about stand your ground laws, and talk about how they're being blamed for a series of what appear to be, based on the reported facts anyway, unjustified shootings where people are being prosecuted, but people are saying, aha, this is the fault of so-called stand your ground laws. And it really, to me, demonstrates how much confusion there is about stand your ground law, what they even mean, what they say, what they make legal, what they don't, what they justify, what they don't. A lot of confusion about this. I teach my Indiana gun law class, which I'm going to pitch here in just a minute. And that's a lot of focus we have, is dispelling some of the rumors, giving people accurate information about how those laws actually work. That's what we'll get into when we come back and continue to take your calls. So give us a call, 317-239-9393. We will go to the phone lines here in this next segment. 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
We now have a new richest person in the world, Bernard Arnault. Net worth is $2.4 billion.
Can you imagine being worth $1 billion?
No, I can't imagine.
We are not even living the same existence. When do you think the last time Bernard Arnault
went to the store and bought a gallon of milk?
Yeah, whipped out his wallet in any shape, form, or fashion.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our most popular class is our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class, and we've got one of those coming up Thursday, May 11th. It's going to be at Indy Arms. It's going to be a Thursday evening class. A lot of people have asked us to teach this on a weekday evening as opposed to taking up their Saturday morning, and so we're accommodating those requests with a class from 5 p.m. to 9:30. So it's 4.5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. We talk at great length about Indiana law on the use of force and self-defense, including deadly force. We'll talk a little bit about stand your ground laws tonight. Well, we cover that in a lot of detail, go through actual cases, and a whole lot more, including gun-free zones and how to become and avoid becoming a prohibited possessor, the effect of our red flag law here in Indiana, and a whole bunch more. If you're an Indiana gun owner, this is really 4.5 hours of education that you need. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tacticalfirearms.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
What good is faith? Pastor John Gable of Tabernacle Presbyterian Church in Indianapolis.
Faith in God is a wonderful gift. At TAB, we desire to be a resource for those who want to grow deep and strong in their relationship with God through teaching, worship, and prayer. But we also know that faith does no one any good if it doesn't help them to become more Christ-like by engaging and serving our neighbors, the community, and the world. TAB has a long history of putting hands and feet to faith through active service and ministry, just as Jesus did. If you'd like to learn more about having an active faith, stop on by or visit us at tabpres.org.
Tabernacle Presbyterian Church, 34th Street and Central Avenue in Indianapolis, invites you to worship Sunday morning at 8 or 10 a.m. If you can't make it in person, tune in to Sunday with Tab, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WIBC, or find us online at tabpres.org.
Spring in Indy. And since 2001, Rhino Shield has been covering Indiana homes and businesses. Just ask Mike.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
Business owners, you too can get the 25-year protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
They started on the building. They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Hey, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Denny Smith here. Spring's here at Sundown Gardens in Westfield, and right now Sundown Gardens has 20% off all container shrubs and 20% off deciduous container trees and 25% off pottery fountains and statues. Enjoy the weather, save money, spruce up your yard, and shop Sundown Gardens. Ask about their loyalty program. Save money this week on container shrubs, deciduous container trees, pottery, fountains, and statues. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
There's a lot of sexy content on the internet. And there's WIBC, full of faces meant for radio. Hammer and Nigel, Kendall and Casey. Okay, Casey could be on TV. Now streaming every day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/WIBC. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. We're glad you're with us. So, again, we've had really a rash of shootings here recently that sound an awful lot like what happened at the Castleton Square Mall. And I've talked about it here on this show. I've talked about it on Hammer and Nigel a couple different times. But in Castleton here a couple months ago, a couple of teenagers walked up to a car. And my understanding, it was a common-looking car, something like, a Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord, something like that. I mean, how many million silver Honda Accords are there out there? So something like that. A couple of kids walked up thinking it was their car. And one of them tries the door handle. It had some tinted windows so they couldn't see into the vehicle. And a person in the vehicle said he thought he was being carjacked, responded by shooting one of these kids, killing them, and then what's probably going to result in some problems for him, as he's already being prosecuted, is he then also got out of the car and chased after the other person who was running away and shot him a number of times as he's running away. That person's now being charged with a crime. Very similarly, in Kansas City, you had a 16-year-old named Ralph Yarl who simply pulled into the wrong driveway, walked up and rang the doorbell of the wrong house. He was simply at the wrong house. Innocent mistake. And the homeowner shot him. He had a group of young cheerleaders in Texas. When one of them accidentally entered the wrong car in a grocery store parking lot. A young lady, 20 years old, Kaylin Gillis, was killed very similarly by simply pulling into the wrong driveway. This is in rural New York. A young kid, Kinsley White, a 6-year-old from Gastonia, North Carolina, was shot alongside her parents when her basketball simply rolled into the neighbor's garden. And the homeowner opened fire because a ball rolled into their yard. And what are we seeing in response to this? We're seeing a whole bunch of people come out and say, aha, this is the fault of so-called stand your ground laws. And because of stand your ground laws, which some organizations like the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights have called, quote, a license to kill, end quote. Is that true? Is that how they really work? Does a stand your ground law simply allow you to use deadly force even when you can't make a valid claim, a legitimate claim that you reasonably feared your life was in danger? Or can you just say, oh, yep, stand your ground, I'm allowed to use deadly force? There's a lot of confusion about this. People are deliberately, in my mind, spinning what stand your ground laws really do, what they really say, so as to try to get them repealed, simply because they want to limit your ability to defend your life, defend your home. But I'll talk about what stand your ground laws really are and what they're not. But let me tell you, based on the reported facts, because we have, yes, a stand your ground law here in Indiana. Now, I would tell you that it's more accurate to say there is a stand your ground provision in each subsection of our self-defense law. That's a much more accurate way of putting it. It's not a stand-alone, no pun intended, statute that says, aha, there's a stand your ground law. How does that work? What does it really mean? We'll get into all those issues when we come back. And I promise this, that we go to the phone lines. We will do that as well. But let me just tell you, if you're of the belief that you can simply tell a police officer after you've used deadly force, oh, I feared for my life, and that's some magic talisman that allows you to use deadly force, that is wrong. That is fundamentally wrong, and it can easily land you in prison. No, stand your ground laws don't allow you to use deadly force when they otherwise wouldn't be justified. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Right now, we're taking a break here at the top of the hour. We'll be right back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Indianapolis, do you have old, ugly, or even damaged concrete? Not sure what to do about it, but you know you need to do something? Well, you need to call Galaxy Concrete Coatings. This product is out of this world, and it's right here in Indianapolis. And just in time to give your concrete floors a transflormation. Galaxy Concrete Coatings is 4 times stronger than epoxy. It's designed to not only work on your garage floor, but you can use it on driveways, walkways, around your pool or patio, commercial or residential. And it's UV resistant, which means it will not yellow. And even better, it can be ready to go in about 24 hours. Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call 317-751-9070. Indy, you're ready for a transflormation. Call Galaxy Concrete Coatings today, 317-751-9070. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They are out of this world.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TIRE for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TIRE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TIRE.
AE Ammo is Greenwood's ammunition superstore. The largest variety in training, hunting, and self-defense ammo with the best prices locally guaranteed. Factory new 9mm FMJ ammo starting at $12 per 50-round box. Factory new 50-round boxes, $380 from $14.99 and $45 ACP from $18.99. And with the AE Ammo Customer Rewards Program, start earning points today towards money back to use on future purchases. Shop in-store or online at aeammo.com.
Get 20% discount from Zero Res when you clean the carpets and upholstery for a real spring cleaning. 388-5141 or online at ZeroResIndy.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Broadcasting from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
decision is fast approaching. I'm Laura Cantor, Fox News. President Joe Biden is expected to announce his 2024 presidential re-election bid. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House with more.
President Biden spending the weekend at Camp David, days ahead of that expected announcement that he's running for re-election. Officially this time, the White House did not want to talk about it. A new poll from the Associated Press says most people don't want Biden to do it again. 73% of all adults, in fact, don't want Biden to run again, and more than half, 52% of Democrats don't want Biden to run, although 41% of Democrats say they will definitely be voting for Biden if he is the nominee, and another 40% say they'll probably vote Biden if he's the nominee.
President Biden has been hinting at running for president again since late 2022. Meanwhile, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announcing he will challenge President Biden for the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination. Kennedy discusses why he made this decision on Cavuto Live.
I think, like my dad ran on principle, he did not believe that he could win. And his objective was to tell the truth to the American people, and that's what I'm going to do. And if there's an appetite for that, I'll be in the White House in 2025.
A Fox News poll shows that approximately 14% of Democratic voters would vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. A shooting in a D.C. neighborhood Friday night leaves 8 people injured, including a 12-year-old girl.
They're searching for suspects. We did see one person being taken into custody.
That's Fox 5 DC's Adrian de Piazza. Police are also looking for a black sedan from which rounds were fired indiscriminately. EMS said that all injuries sustained do not appear to be serious. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis seeking federal aid for Broward County flood victims after record rainfall earlier this month, severely damaging close to 1,000 homes. America is listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
5 inches of rain by tomorrow.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A fatal crash. Partly cloudy and cool overnight, headed into a cloudy Sunday. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. 1 person has died and 2 more have been injured after a single car crash in Franklin Saturday morning. First responders were called to East County Road 400 South around 4:45 a.m. 1 person was pronounced dead at the scene. Another was flown to Methodist Hospital, and the third was taken to Eskenazi. The Johnson County coroner has identified the dead individual as 20-year-old Franklin woman Kayla Rees Rutherford. The other 2 have not been identified as of yet. Police are now investigating. And police are also investigating after a body was found in the White River Saturday afternoon. First responders were called near Riverside Drive East, where they found a body in the water. They were able to pull it from the river. However, they have not yet released any information about the person's identity or cause of death. Indiana's public health care sector faces a staffing crisis. Director of the Center for Public Health, Shandy Dirth, tells Wish TV younger workers are leaving for better-paying jobs in the private sector.
The jobs just are not high-paying jobs. Sometimes they require a public health degree. Sometimes they do not. And so we're just running into an issue with trying to recruit people into those jobs.
Smaller health departments struggle to access funding as federal grants mostly go to larger departments. Earth Month is still happening thanks to Indy Parks. Through this program, you and your friends or family are encouraged to work together to clean local parks. Parks Family Centers have free trash bags and gloves for you to use. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Clearing up this evening, but chilly. Temperatures in the low 40s. All the way down to 36 by Sunday morning. Sunshine Sunday up to 50. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist David James for 93 WIBC.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe. My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
It's JMV and save 20% off all container shrubs and 20% off deciduous container trees this week at Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundowngardens.com.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And I'll tell you what, before we leave the topic of the NRA annual meeting, if you're watching the YouTube feed, again, you can see the video. Again, as I always say, I'm not much to look at, but if you want to be on there, you can watch a live video. But someone commented, there's a chat feature there on YouTube, and someone just commented, really, it's a very important point. I saw this, and I really wanted to address it as well, and that is that the Daily Mail, publication really out of the UK, ran an article where they showed a whole bunch of pictures of very young kids handling guns at the NRA annual meeting. And some of them were pointing a gun at the camera, presumably with a person behind the camera or phone. And although maybe not, you never quite know. I mean, I have some awesome pictures. I have a great friend named Brett Kelly, a professional photographer, and we took some awesome pictures where he actually hung a high-speed camera on a target stand, and he had a remote trigger for the camera where he could activate the shutter on the camera from standing behind me. But the camera angle is looking right down the muzzle of the gun. In fact, there's one picture that I use a lot just because it's cool. You can actually see the bullet coming out of the muzzle of the gun with the powder flash going on around it. Is pretty spectacular, and nobody was endangered by that because the camera was hanging on a target stand. The camera might have been in a little danger depending on how well I shot. The good news is that both Brett, the photographer, and the camera survived the experience. But these pictures showed a whole bunch of very young kids handling guns at the NRA annual meeting. And there's a headline, very young guns. Very young guns. Kids as young as 6 handle real firearms at the NRA convention as America is on course for the deadliest year on record. So that's the headline. And yeah, a whole bunch of pictures of kids handling guns. Some were pointing them at other people, some they were pointing it at the camera. And I mention this only because, first of all, let's go through a couple of things. Was there any real danger? No, the guns on display at the NRA annual meeting, by rule of the convention, had to be made inoperable. In other words, you couldn't slap a magazine full of rounds in one of these things and start pulling the trigger and have it go off. The firing pins were removed or they were otherwise made inoperable, so they're display only. But at the same time, I only mention it for this reason, and that is that we as gun owners have to be very cautious and very attuned to the fact that people are always trying to make us look bad. People are always trying to set us up. If you're at one of these things and you're handling a gun or your kid's handling a gun, and listen, do I think the kids who are at this annual meeting because their parents took them, are these the kids we're going to have to worry about down the line being unsafe with guns? No, they're probably being educated at a very young age on gun safety and responsible gun ownership. These are not the kids you're going to have to worry about long term. However, the media can spin this. Anti-2A people can spin it. They take those pictures. They go, oh, egads, look at this. Look what the NRA supports. Young kids pointing real guns at each other. We have to be mindful of that. For instance, I do media interviews a lot. You know, a lot of times people say, oh, I saw you on the news, this day or the other day. And yeah, I do a lot of media interviews because I'm always willing to step into that breach. They're doing an anti-gun story. I'll say, hell yeah, I'll be interviewed. I always kind of look at it like, if not me, then who? And I'll jump in, and I don't have any great expectation it's going to be a fair story, but I'm going to go in and say my piece. And I'm going to defend the Second Amendment, defend gun owners as best I can, and realize the editing process is probably not going to be very fair more often than not, but I'll still jump into that breach. But at the same time, when I'm doing media interviews, this has happened to dozens of times. Somebody comes to my office to do a media interview. I'm wearing a suit or a sport coat. And they always say, oh, well, we were hoping to meet you at the range where you could have your tactical gear on. No, I'm going to do the interview here in my law office wearing a suit. Okay, well, we're doing a story about assault weapons. Do you have an assault weapon? Yeah, well, depending on your definition, since politicians can never really tell you what the hell that term even means. But you're talking about semi-automatic rifles like AR-15s. Yeah, I've got several. In fact, there's a gun safe right there around the corner, right here in my office. It's got 3 or 4 AR-15s in it. Awesome. Would you mind getting one of those out so we can do some video and take some pictures of you as part of our story? No, thank you. What do you mean, no, thank you? No, thank you. I'm not going to give them that visual image. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with a rifle, just the opposite. It means I'm not going to allow them to set me up to spin this in some way that makes gun owners look in the negative. Don't give them, no pun intended, the ammunition that they're looking for to spin stories to make us look like a bunch of irresponsible gun nuts. And that's, unfortunately, what a lot of social media picked up on after these pictures started circulating on the internet. If I were standing there and I saw some photographer go, hey, can I get your little boy to point the gun here at me at the camera so I can get some pictures? I'd say absolutely not. I would shield my kid from having any pictures taken. And that's not because the kid's necessarily doing anything wrong. Now, the rules of gun safety are the rules of gun safety. If you allow a kid to point a gun at a human being, I don't care if it's been rendered inoperable or not. The rules of gun safety are the same no matter what. All the rules of gun safety, what we call the 4 rules, they all start with always. Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Oh, well, it's an inoperable gun, so just point it right at me and at the camera. Hell no. I'm following the rules of gun safety. There are no exceptions. You probably read here recently, Alec Baldwin just had manslaughter charges against him dropped just this past week. Now, is he guilty of a crime? Should he go to prison? That's a question for a jury. It's not going to be a question for long because apparently the prosecutor dropped the charges. But he certainly violated a basic rule of gun safety, which is he pointed the gun at a human being. And he pulled the trigger. He did not also keep his finger off the trigger until he was on a legitimate target ready to shoot. And a cinematographer died. Another person got shot. Why? Because he didn't follow the rules of gun safety. So my only point in all of this is, look, I'm not condemning anyone whose kid, their picture showed up in this story, but let's don't help them. There are a lot of people that want to strip us of our rights and are working very, very hard to strip us of our rights. Let's don't give them any assistance in the process. Let's don't let them paint the picture of us as irresponsible or unsafe or people who ought to have our rights restricted. When, as Grandpa Relford used to say, when you're walking on eggshells, don't hop. And as gun owners, really, we need to be conscious of the fact that they're trying to put us in a bad light. Let's don't help them. Now, is this a fair article? Of course not. They really buried down toward the bottom of the article that the guns were actually inoperable. But they said, oh, look, the crazy gun nuts are letting their 6-year-old kids handle real guns at the NRA annual meeting. Let's don't help. I'll tell you, we're on the break. I will finally change gears and go into a discussion on stand your ground laws here when we come back. Right now, we're taking a break. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. You can join the discussion, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The pothole, formed in colder months. Tiny fissures are born, and in no time at all, they grow into big, gigantic tire killers. That's why you need Matt Baird Traffic.
Watch out on Keystone Avenue.
He'll guide you around these hidden monsters.
Yeah, might as well call it a basement.
And on to safer ground.
You don't want to be in the far left lane.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. As I often say here on the Gun Guy Show, our most popular class is our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class. It's 4.5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. We've got one of those coming up on a Thursday night. It's on May 11th from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. there at Indy Arms, conveniently located on the northeast side of Indy. We're going to talk about the law of self-defense, which I'm going to get into a little bit on the show tonight, but in a lot more detail there in a 4.5 hour class. It's really the information you need as an Indiana gun owner to keep yourself on the right side of the law. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses. You can register right online at tactical-firearms.com.
Your neighbor Mark loves spring in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
That's because Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mom, Dad, Sis?
Here we go again.
Why are you in a suit? Picture, if you will, a world with the best network imaginable. I'm talking about the Xfinity 10G network. Go on. Mom, remember how your reality shows wouldn't load with all of us online? Now you can binge. And Susie, we'll have fast internet in the basement.
Nice.
If you have any questions, here's my card.
This is just your name on a gum wrapper.
Introducing the 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through April 23rd, new customers can get 200 megabit Xfinity internet during our limited time Xfinity 10G network launch celebration for just $25 a month for 2 years. Plus, there's no annual contract required and you get Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models not transferable or available on leases. Copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road.
There are screening tests to catch cancer early. Visit cancer.org/getscreened.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And so we're going to start talking about stand your ground laws. And I'll tell you what, Jim has been incredibly patient. Really called in right at the top of the show. So, Jim, thanks for hanging around, man. And you had a question.
Well, I have a lot of family in law enforcement. And I was always taught that stand your ground meant an immediate threat. Like, say you're in your car and you're getting out and somebody runs up with a knife or gun and are threatening you with it. And my understanding is you can use deadly force, in that case. It's like also like in your home. Somebody breaks in and they're on the intent of harming you. Don't you have a right to defend yourself in your home? That's my general understanding.
Yeah, sure. And let me get into how the laws really work, Jim. And that is that people tend to refer to stand your ground as being like its own independent law. Like, Indiana has a stand your ground law. It's not exactly the way that works. Each different section of Indiana's self-defense statute has a stand your ground provision. And all this means is, and let me get into it, when you're justified, and this goes right to Jim's question, let's talk about the general rules of self-defense. You can use reasonable force, including deadly force. If you have a reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary to protect you or a third person from serious bodily injury or from the commission of a forcible felony. So the threshold is, and this is, I'm going to talk about Castle Doctrine in a minute because that's separate. You're under the general self-defense statute that applies to you no matter where you are. And typically it comes into play, you're out in public. If you have this reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary to protect you or a third person from serious bodily injury or the commission of a forcible felony. Now, nothing about that law right there is stand your ground. People tend to think it is. It's not. There's a separate provision that's right there, part of this, the same section of the self-defense statute, that adds you can use deadly force, and then it says with no duty to retreat. No duty to retreat. The duty to retreat or not is where stand your ground comes in. And so the whole section I'm talking about here under the general self-defense statute says I can use reasonable force, including deadly force, with no duty to retreat if, and only if, big, huge if, we talk about this for a long time in my gun law class, if I have that reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary to prevent serious bodily injury to me or a third person or the commission of a forcible felony. Stand your ground is just the no duty to retreat part. And here's where that came from. The word necessary is in there, right? So I have a reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary to protect myself or someone else from serious bodily injury or the commission of a forcible felony. Okay. A lot of courts across the country, I don't know about a lot, but a few in different states came out and said, hold on, can you ever have a reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary? It's a focus on that word necessary. If you can run away first. In other words, if you have an opportunity to run away, that is retreat, then you never could have had that reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary. And a lot of legislatures looked at that. In fact, some courts also in other jurisdictions looked at that and said, hold on. The law is going to force me to turn my back on an attacker and run away. If that applies in your home under the Castle Doctrine, which we'll talk about here in a minute, I have to run out the back door while someone has broken into my home. I have to retreat first as an obligation. So what a lot of legislatures did, including ours here in Indiana, in fact, the majority of states across the country, not all, is they added this no duty to retreat language, just that one line, no duty to retreat, to say no, you can still have that reasonable belief that deadly force is necessary simply based on that reasonable belief that, in fact, you're preventing serious bodily injury to you or a third person or the commission of a forcible felony. So it's to prevent courts from interpreting the word necessary to say, well, it can't be necessary, and you can't have that reasonable belief that it's necessary if you can run away. So in other words, I can stand my ground and use deadly force if, and only if, this is the most important part, only if I meet that requirement that I have that reasonable belief that I'm preventing serious bodily injury or the commission of a forcible felony. Just that language with no duty to retreat, those few words is the stand your ground provision of the self-defense statute. People tend to think, oh, it's the whole thing about fearing bodily injury or whatever. No. It's just that those few words that say you don't have to run away first to have that reasonable belief that force is necessary. Now, the Castle Doctrine is a separate subsection of the self-defense statute. You want to look up the statute? It's 35-41-3-2. Just Google it, 35-41-3-2. Put dashes in there. The first thing that will come up will be the result of that mathematical formula, 35 minus 41. The second thing that will come up will be the Indiana statute. You can read the whole thing. In the very next subsection, we have what's called the Castle Doctrine. And it says, separate from that general self-defense statute that applies to you wherever, including out in public, a separate section says you can also use reasonable force, including deadly force, with no duty to retreat. Aha. So no duty to retreat means there's a stand your ground provision in the Castle Doctrine as well. But here's where the Castle part comes in. If you reasonably believe that that force, meaning deadly force, is necessary to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry in or attack on your dwelling, that is your home. Now it goes on from there. I'll stop right there for now. So, do we have Castle Doctrine? Yes. What's different about Castle Doctrine than the general self-defense statute? The one that applies to you no matter where you are says I have to fear that serious bodily injury, that reasonable belief that I'm preventing serious bodily injury to me or a third person or the commission of a forcible felony. There's nothing about the Castle Doctrine that makes me fear getting hurt. I can simply use reasonable force, including deadly force, with no duty to retreat. That's the stand your ground part. If I reasonably believe that force, deadly force, is necessary to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into or attack on my home, my dwelling. That's Castle Doctrine. Does the Castle Doctrine have a stand your ground provision in it? Yes. That's the no duty to retreat part. But it's a separate justification. The Castle Doctrine is different. The reason we call it the Castle Doctrine is you can simply defend your castle. Now, let's talk about all these cases that are getting blamed, all these instances where the Castle Doctrine is getting blamed for people shooting innocent people. And does it really work that way? The answer is no, because of that huge if that's right there in the middle of the statute. In other words, okay, a teenager pulls into your driveway and walks up and rings the doorbell. Does stand your ground even apply there? Well, it would say you don't have to run out the back door before defending your home. However, that only applies if you have that reasonable belief that you're preventing an unlawful entry into or attack on your dwelling. And again, there's more to it than that. It goes on from there, but we're going to stop that for purposes of this discussion. So somebody rings your doorbell. Are they trying to get in? No. Are they attacking your dwelling? No, they just rang the doorbell. So you never had a basis for that reasonable belief. You could say, well, it was somebody I didn't recognize, so I feared for my life. That fear has to be reasonable under the circumstances. Let's say you've got a Ring doorbell, like I do. It just shows a teenager ringing your doorbell. I feared for my life. Well, if a prosecutor and or a jury down the road decides you didn't have a reasonable fear, you can scream, I feared for my life all day long. Doesn't make any difference. Does stand your ground protect you? No. Because if you never have that reasonable belief to begin with, stand your ground never applies. Now, somebody walks up and is kicking my door. They're trying to get in my house. The hinges are about to give. I'm standing on the other side with a gun. Here it is. Boom. Door swings open. They're not in the house yet. They're just standing there. They've just kicked my door open. Can I shoot them at that point? Yes. At that point, I reasonably fear. Now, again, they have to be unlawfully entering your home. If that's your roommate, that's your wife, somebody you've given a key to, that's a whole different scenario. But that's a stranger who's just breaking into your house. They're not in your house yet. They just kicked the door in. Can you use deadly force? Yes. Does stand your ground apply? Well, it says you don't have to run out the back door before you prevent that unlawful entry into your home. That's the only application. There's a lot of misunderstanding. I hear and see lawyers on TV talking about stand your ground, and they completely don't get it. It's just the one provision that says if you meet the test, which is having that requisite reasonable belief, then you have no duty to retreat before you defend yourself or defend your home. That's how stand your ground works. It's not the ability to go, oh, I feared for my life, and then shoot anybody you want to. That's not how it works. That's never how it's worked. And it's very important. And so when you have something like a 16-year-old getting shot simply because he rang the wrong doorbell, or cheerleaders getting shot simply because they tugged on the door handle of the wrong car, somebody just can't wave their hands and say, stand your ground law, and walk away. Not how it works. Not how it works. I hope I clarified that a little bit. I hope I answered Jim's question as well, since he was on hold for a darn long time. We're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to go back to the phone lines, and we'll talk more about this when we come back. Right now, give us a call, 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Greased up naked Florida man, 2 counts of burglary, 3 counts of battery on a law enforcement officer, so he fought with police. But the fact there was battery on an officer and resisting arrest means that one of those brave police officers in Florida had to fight this naked lunatic. And he's got things swinging and flying, and he's greased up too.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
My wife and I are customers of Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. And by the way, they've seen their competition double, even triple their delivery charges. Thompson Furniture still delivers for free within 75 miles. White glove delivery and setup, it's all for free. This team is the best at what they do. Family owned since 1927.
Lazy Boys, Tempur-Pedic, Smith Brothers, huge outdoor furniture selection, guaranteed best price, and it's delivered for free. Only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Are you or a loved one a veteran of the United States of America? Are you aware what the PACT Act is? The PACT Act is a historic new law that expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. If this is you, join us in person at the Veterans Benefits and Resource Fair at the Johnson County National Guard Armory on Wednesday, April 26th from noon to 6 p.m. To learn more, follow VA Indianapolis on social media.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Fox News, I'm Laura Cantor. An abortion drug will still be available for now.
The Supreme Court rejects a lower court's decision to suspend the Food and Drug Administration's approval of mifepristone, granting an emergency request from the Biden administration and the maker of the drug.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The case returns to a lower court in May. President Biden is expected to announce he'll be running for re-election in a short video next week. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
This has been months in the making. The White House says it doesn't even want to talk about it, though. A new poll from the Associated Press says most people don't want the oldest president in U.S. history to run again. He would be 82 at the beginning of a potential second term.
A full 73% of adults say they don't want him to run again. But 41% of Democrats say they will vote for Biden if he's the candidate. America's listening to Fox News.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated, and not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
Pat Sullivan here. April showers can bring plumbing downers. Don't get caught in a leak this spring. Make sure your sump pump is working properly to avoid any damage. A sump pump is vital to protecting your home from heavy rains. During the month of April, my friends at Hope Plumbing will buy back your old sump pump for $300 with the purchase of an upgraded sump pump and a new battery backup system. Call Hope Plumbing today or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com.
Hubler makes it easy to get your perfect car or truck. Get your vehicle your way. They'll help you pre-order a vehicle built just for you. Visit drivehubler.com.
Want to explore using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits to heat and cool your home or business? Learn more at absolutecomfort.org. That's absolutecomfort.org.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I hope I was just able to clarify, I think, what is some real misunderstandings about how stand your ground laws really work. People tend to refer to an entire self-defense law as a stand your ground law. That's not really it. Or simply a stand your ground, meaning that no duty to retreat language is in with the rest of the law as codified. But it's not a separate justification for the use of deadly force. It simply says we're not going to impose on you a requirement to run away before you defend yourself or others if, and this is so important, if you're otherwise justified. Very important. In the meantime, we've had Tim call in, and I was talking about the NRA annual meeting earlier in the show. I think Tim wants to talk about that. So, Tim, welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
How's it going, Guy?
Good, man. You doing all right?
Yeah. I'm out here in the shop working on my lawnmower listening to you.
There you go. Awesome. So you were at the annual meeting.
Yeah, we went Friday. We got down there early Friday morning. We thought, well, we would go because we knew Saturday and Sunday would be packed. So the comment that the thing about the Daily Mail article, I did see that. I did read it and the pictures that they had. And yes, there were quite a few pictures there showing the kids handling the guns. And I actually saw some of that. And there were a lot. I don't know if you noticed it. There was quite a few people set up with tripods, cameras, press. You didn't know who they were. And so it seemed like there was people out taking pictures all over the place. And, I think you're right. Parents are going to it just doesn't apply to the convention. It's also at gun shows also. And I think parents really have to start paying attention to that kind of stuff. Safety is safety. And, I shot high power competition for over 20 years. And one of the things that we always did was when we were done, and you cleared the weapon, you put a flag in the chamber. Yeah. And that had to be identified before anybody moved. And so, it's kind of, did that kind of safety thing. And so you go around the show, and I get it. Everybody's walking around and they're looking at stuff and all that. But it only takes a couple of pictures like that to get out. That's the problem.
Well, I agree with you completely, Tim. And listen, the rules of gun safety, as I talked about earlier in the show, they all start with always, or no exceptions. And I think going to something like a gun show or the big event here with the NRA annual meeting, it's an opportunity for parents not only to get their kids enthused about responsible gun ownership, and guns in general, in terms of the ability to defend your home and your life, the ability to hunt, the ability to compete, as Tim does. So it's a great opportunity, but it's also an opportunity for some education, which is to reinforce all those rules of gun safety and say, yeah, okay, we understand these are display firearms, but we're going to treat them exactly the same way. And no violation of any rule, period. I was at a training course one time where the instructor said, okay, now I'm going to triple check that your firearms are unloaded. And only once I triple check, and I want everybody to take all the ammo out of their pockets, take all the mags out of your mag holders. We're going to leave all those, back in the ready area. And then we're going to go down range because we're going to run some drills, or I'm going to have you point your firearm at another student and pull the trigger. And now I'm gonna myself triple check that every gun's unloaded. We're gonna prevent any ammunition even in the area of the drills, and then we're gonna run these. And he said, anybody uncomfortable with that? And I raised my hand. I said, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I said, if you got a blue gun, a training gun, an inert piece of plastic, it's not even a gun. It's a hunk of plastic that looks like a gun. I'll do it with that, but I'm not pointing my gun at another student. I said, I wrote a book on gun safety, and I talk about always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Never put your finger on the trigger unless you're on an acceptable target and ready to shoot. I'm not going to violate the rules that I've been teaching for too long. And the instructor was awesome. He's a really good instructor, and said, I respect that. I understand that. And he got me a training gun, and I ran the drill. So you don't make any exceptions. That's the point. And look, I'm not criticizing. God bless you. You're down there at the annual meeting. You're there to support Second Amendment rights. You're there to get your kids enthused. I'm glad they went. I'm glad they took their kids. But when we know people are after us, we know people are trying to portray us in a bad light, We got photographers walking around, and you know they're not all friendly. They've got press passes on, for crying out loud. What percentage of them do you think are going to be friendly to the NRA or to gun owners in general? Don't help them. That's my only point. I don't want to sound overly critical of anyone, but we don't need to provide any assistance to those people trying to strip our rights away or portray us as irresponsible. I'll tell you what, we're coming up on the 3/4 hour. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this edition of the Gun Guy Show and continue to take your calls. If we have any additional calls, I'll try to get to them before the show's over here at the top of the hour. But give us a call, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Indiana's last call, by the way, 3 a.m.
Why is there even a time for call? If you want to drink, as long as you want to drink.
Don't have to go home, but you can't stay
And you
here.
would say, but where are you supposed to go, Casey?
Home.
But you can't.
Go home.
I'm not trying to indict myself here, but there are many times where you got to go. Where am I supposed to go? I can't drive home.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Check out our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class. We've got a Thursday evening edition of Essentials of Indiana Gun Law coming up on May 11th. It's going to be from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. there at Indy Arms. Beautiful indoor range and a great training facility as well. We'd love to see you there. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. It's 4.5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. Check that out and register right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
I asked what kind of family she wanted. She said, a family like yours.
Learn more about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Zero Res, and it's that time of year when our homes just need a good cleaning to get the winter crud out of the carpets, floors, and upholstery. You've changed your furnace filters, but have you cleaned the carpets? The carpets are literally the largest air filter in your home, and if you want to eliminate dust, allergens, and irritants that'll drive your allergies crazy, how about getting them Zero Res cleaned? Right now, Zero Res is offering 20% off carpet and upholstery cleaning, and that'll give your home a real fresh beginning as you go full steam into allergy season. Zero Res uses their unique cleaning technology with the electrolyzed ZR water to perfectly clean your floors and more. It cleans your carpets and floors without soapy residue. Soapy residue means things get dirtier quicker, and the ZR water prevents that from happening because it attracts the dirt and allergens and irritants by itself. If you call Zero Res today and mention WIBC, you get a full 20% discount on cleaning your carpets and upholstery. For a smarter, lasting clean and really easy scheduling, call 388-5141 or visit ZeroResIndy.com.
AE Ammo is Greenwood's ammunition superstore. The largest variety in training, hunting, and self-defense ammo with the best prices locally guaranteed. Factory new 9mm FMJ ammo starting at $12 per 50-round box. Factory new 50-round boxes, $380 from $14.99 and 45 ACP from $18.99. And with the AE Ammo Customer Rewards Program, start earning points today towards money back to use on future purchases. Shop in-store or online at aeammo.com.
It's JMV, and spring is here at Sundown Gardens in Westfield. And right now, Sundown Gardens has 20% off all container shrubs and 20% off deciduous container trees and 25% off pottery fountains and statues. Enjoy the weather, save money, spruce up your yard, and shop Sundown Gardens. Ask about their loyalty program. Save money this week on container shrubs, deciduous container trees, pottery, fountains, and statues. That's Sundown Gardens, 186th Street, Spring Mill Road, sundowngardens.com.
That kitchen or bath remodel you've been ready to start? With inflation rising, waiting is just going to make it more expensive. Start that remodel today. Hey, it's Tony Katz for Booher Remodeling. BOOHER. BooherRemodeling.com. Get on the schedule now to avoid some of those price increases. Booher Remodeling is the finest remodeler in Central Indiana with the best materials and most skilled craftsmen. They'll guide you through the entire process to make your vision come to life. Go to BooherRemodeling.com to set up your free consultation. BooherRemodeling.com.
After I drop the kids off, I have to run across town for a meeting, hit the gym during lunch. Jake has soccer tonight, and Emily has gymnastics? Oh, did I turn on the crock pot this morning?
With a never-ending to-do list, it's easy to forget something important, like setting up a life insurance plan with Shelter Insurance. Your local Shelter agent can show you how to create a safety net for your family. Don't let life get in the way of what's most important. Visit shelterinsurance.com to learn more. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for the last segment here of The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I just got a private message on Twitter. By the way, if you don't already follow me on Twitter, I'd appreciate you going to, it's just at Guy Relford on Twitter. I'm trying to build my Twitter following. I've been a lot more active on Twitter here lately as well. So go to Twitter, go at Guy Relford. Give me a follow if you wouldn't mind. I'd appreciate it. But I got a direct message on Twitter that said, I'm surprised President Trump got such an enthusiastic response from the NRA members since he's the enemy of the Second Amendment. And I haven't responded to that yet. But where's that come from? I mean, is that just completely a ridiculous statement? Because, hey, look, Donald Trump here at the NRA meeting, I was there in 2016 when he was endorsed by NRA when he ran for president. A big reason he was endorsed by NRA is he came out with his list of who he would appoint. Because keep in mind, there was an open Supreme Court seat at the time of the election in 2016. And so when we had the 2016 annual meeting, he came out and he said, here's a list of the people I will appoint to this open seat, and I'll use the same list if any other vacancies occur in the court. And man, that was huge. That was the seat ultimately occupied by Neil Gorsuch, appointed by President Trump. In fact, I think by far the best thing President Trump or any president has done for Second Amendment rights in a long, long, long time, if not ever, has been to appoint the 3 Supreme Court justices that he appointed, Amy Coney Barrett, Neil Kavanaugh, or Neil Gorsuch, I should say, and Justice Kavanaugh. And that's huge. And they're taking the court in exactly the right direction. But the NRA endorsed President Trump, or then candidate Trump, in 2016. And did so enthusiastically. A lot of people think that went a long way toward getting him elected. He certainly credited NRA after the election. So where does this comment I just got on Twitter calling President Trump an enemy of the Second Amendment, where's that come from? Because he certainly said all the right things in 2016. He said all the right things in 2020. He said all the right things here at NRA annual meeting over the weekend. Well, it's from a couple of places. So I know when I respond to this person, if I get the time, I'll say I know exactly what you're talking about. And first of all, is President Trump ordered ATF to do away with bump stocks after the Las Vegas shooting. Las Vegas, that shooting from a luxury hotel down into a country concert that was going on at an outdoor venue across the street. And there's still the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, and bump stocks were reportedly used. And President Trump came out, and he did not say to Congress, you should amend the definition of machine gun in the National Firearms Act so as to include bump stocks. He simply told the ATF to find a way to ban bump stocks. A lot of us have a big problem with that, because that's exactly what we're fighting against right now, which is ATF doing things like, say, making any firearm, short-barreled firearm with a pistol brace on it, an SBR, short-barreled rifle, that you then have to register under the National Firearms Act. They said, hold on, you can't do that. Congress has to do that. Well, President Trump ordered the ATF as a regulatory agency to do what a lot of us have said only Congress can do. And President Trump did that, and that's a precedent we don't like. ATF, I'll guarantee you, looks back on what it did on bump stocks, and 3 federal circuits have upheld that, by the way. Only one federal circuit, the 5th, that includes Texas and Mississippi and Louisiana, has found it to be unenforceable. So President Trump set that precedent. The other thing that happened was, I believe it was after Parkland, the mass shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, if I remember correctly. He was talking about red flag laws. And President Trump was talking about passing a national red flag law. And he was in a meeting, and it was taped, it was filmed. And he's talking about a red flag law, and somebody, members of his cabinet or a member of Congress in this meeting said, well, of course we need to protect due process. And President Trump said, take the guns first, due process comes later. And a whole bunch of us looked at that and said, whoa, hold on. I got a constitutional problem with that. You're going to deprive somebody of their constitutional rights under the Second Amendment and only give them due process after the fact. So those two things, in my mind, bump stocks and his comments, nothing ever resulted from that except more states, a lot more states, passed red flag laws. But that's where that comes from. Is that a bit of a spotty record for President Trump? Yes. And even before he was elected, in his book and in other public statements, he said some things that would make you a little nervous about an assault weapon ban, because he came out and said negative things about so-called assault weapons. I hate that we even use that term, since it's merely a politically made-up term. So, yeah, I think, looking at some of the other presidential candidates in 2024, there are those who would have a stronger record or those who would have a stronger approach to Second Amendment issues. I can see that. Doesn't mean I didn't enthusiastically vote for President Trump twice, because I sure as hell preferred him to Hillary Clinton or to Joe Biden. No question about that. So I say that enthusiastically. So anyway, we didn't get into a couple of the topics I intended to go into here before the end of the show, but we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you come back next week. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The Pothole, formed in colder months.